welcome back to
the Zak
and Buzz
Review.
So today we are doing a review of Out of Darkness.
Yes, it's a movie
that we saw at the cinema.
We did.
Yes.
At the cinema,
Yes.
funnily enough, viewers.
Using our unlimited Cineworld cards.
And our eye peeper holes.
Our
yes.
eye peeper hole.
It's these things at the cinema.
Yeah.
Well, I only mentioned that because we saw it in 2D.
Yeah.
Okay, as we call it 2D these days, because
Yeah.
2D.
Normal, standard screening.
viewing.
Nothing too special about it.
But while I was waiting for you at the cinema...
Oh, is this the 4DX
They got the 4DX. It's got all this stuff on 4DX.
Because I want to take you to 4DX,
Yes.
like, so badly.
I still haven't been to 4DX. But they got this, I was just like caught at the corner of my eye, this big stand, 4DX, and it had all the rules and regulations. And
must be above this height.
Must be above 3'2".
Yeah.
Okay. And but what caught my eye is it was saying, not suitable for blind people and intoxicated people. Which I thought was just hilarious. The fact that you'd think that somebody who is drunk was going into 4DX.
I mean, it's a rocky ride anyway.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't know why somebody who is maybe sight impaired would go to a 4DX.
You can get audio described.
They do that.
Yes, that is an option. You can do that, but we've obviously not all visually impaired, so
I know we're not visually impaired, but I just kind of don't know whether or not, if I was visually impaired, whether sitting in a chair and the way you've said about being violently rocked about, stabbed in the back and squirted with water.
You have never experienced 4DX unless you have watched an anime.
There we go.
Alright? It smells funny.
I don't know. But anyway, if you are sight impaired, by all means, I'm not saying don't go to see 4DX, but it just seemed an odd one for it,
To put in the kind of terms and conditions.
Anyway,
Out of Darkness. I went into this expecting kind of like a Stone Age horror movie, and I find it hard to really define it. How would you kind of define it?
I can only...
It was very dark and it had this ominous tone, but I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a horror movie.
I would call it as more of a Stone Age thriller.
Stone Age thriller? That's just like a cop-out term, isn't it? That's like calling something a drama.
Is it cop-out? Anyway... It's kind of...
It was very atmospheric, which I loved.
It was atmospheric, kind of like Quest for Fire, if you're familiar with that very old movie now, and I love that movie.
Yeah.
There aren't...
That's a good movie. Go watch it.
Quest for Fire I liked because it's Stone Age, maybe you'd call them Neanderthals, the ones that they were portraying, the leads.
With like Ron Perlman's in that, he's a Neanderthal.
Yeah, but there's no language in it at all, no subtitles or anything, it's just grunts and stuff. This one was subtitled.
Yes.
So you would take it that the characters...
I wasn't actually expecting that.
Yeah.
That kind of took me back for a second.
You kind of already take it that the Homo sapiens, the group that you meet at the beginning, have got a very complex language. And perhaps that's part of the movie to kind of show that they're more of an advanced human race, if you see what I mean. Maybe at this point I should say we might break into some spoilers.
Spoiler warning!
Yeah, spoiler warning! Spoiler warning!
Okay, that's your spoiler warning. Any spoilers now, that's just your fault if you keep watching.
Yeah, but they keep getting attacked by...
something.
Basically, to sum it up, they've been on the continent and it's all about the migration.
Yeah, they've washed up on the shores of Scotland. Yeah, it is Scotland.
Scotland. Yeah. Basically, it's meant to be 45,000 years ago, and of course, at one point, Scotland, the whole of the UK was connected to the continent, and the area between the two, as we know them now, was known as Doggerland. Unfortunate name, really. But of course,
only by Modern Valley,
because the North Sea has now come in and separated the UK from Europe. Although we are technically still part of Europe, but there is the sea there. So they've managed to get themselves across the sea to this so-called promised land.
Yeah, they did refer to it as a promised land.
Where they've come from, and they're all in...
it's only a small group, it must be said.
It's 5?
5 or 6, yeah.
And they're all in very well-stitched reindeer hide clothing.
Yeah, this was the issue for you, wasn't it? Like
not too much, but
because I didn't really see it too much of an issue, to be honest.
But when it comes to these kind of ancient skills and making clothes out of things like reindeer hides and everything, I mean, yeah. I mean, the Inuit Indians and everything would make, and Eskimos would make wonderful clothes out of them. But the costumes that these actors had got were kind of maybe a little bit too perfectly fitting. Absolutely perfectly fitting. But that was
considering if that's literally the only thing you can say negative about it.
Wasn't the only negative thing about it.
Are you going to go in the hair now?
Yeah. It's because they literally got 2 spears amongst 6 of them. 2 spears.
Okay.
One, I believe, was probably maybe meant to have been
like the chief's spear.
Yeah, it was either maybe like a narwhal. It wasn't curly, but it was very straight. So I'm thinking it's either.
I mean, at one point he was sharpening it.
Yeah, it was either like a narwhal tusk that has been smoothed down and then engraved.
Carved,
but it looked like a school javelin,
Yeah.
And the other one had a makeshift spear point on it, made out of, I'm assuming, antler or bone or something. But they only seem to have one other character in it that had a very rudimentary flint knife.
Yeah.
Yet the men had nicely groomed hair, even to the point of lovely groomed moustaches and beards that were all. I'd have a difficulty with an electric shaver to get it that neat, let alone you trying to use a flint knife. So I think it would have been better if they'd let them grow out a bit,
Well,
but saying that, I think the point was they were trying to show them as a more advanced and more civilized race than the Neanderthals at the time.
Spoiler alert, there are Neanderthals in this. And that is essentially the big reveal, that they are not hunted by a demon or a bear or a wolf or whatever. There's all these signs that it is this kind of almost supernatural thing.
One point in it where you got kind of a flash.
It was like a wiggly glimpse
in between the trees, and as soon as this happened, both you and I went... tried to see close to the screen to see if we could work out what this monster was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But then it was obviously revealed after a big scuffle that actually it was just a mask and it was a Neanderthal.
It was a Neanderthal, and they're basically trying to chase them off and
kind of steal, like, they stole one of the people, the kids.
I think, I kind of worked out the story. I think they would, because they were starving and they hadn't got any food.
Yeah.
I think the Neanderthals, kind of in their own kind of way, were trying to save the children, but at the same time took the adults as threats, and so wanted to get rid of them.
Yeah, because there's no like innocent party in this. They do kill
each other.
Yes.
Quite viciously.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, the Homo sapiens actually all turn on each other at various points and end up like stabbing each other and things.
Yeah,
which is like, I think that is at its core the idea of the movie. People are the monsters.
Yeah, people are the monsters, and it's the clash of the two species. They're both humanoid species on different branches. Yeah, but they clash, and and it was a really good movie. I mean, it must have been done on quite a budget,
but the visuals look really good,
and all filmed in Scotland, and it was very well explained the story of this kind of clash between these two cultures.
Yeah, and the effects on like when somebody was very beaten up. Yeah, that looks really good.
And I think what they really did well in it is the sound.
Yes, that helped. They played so much.
Music score, if you want to call it that, but the sound was really well applied.
It worked well, especially with the visuals of those big, like, long shots. Sort of like big,
there was one weird shot in it
landscapes
where the camera went upside down and showed the land at the top of the screen and the sky at the bottom, and I couldn't quite understand why they did that.
It must have been a creative choice.
Yeah.
And did you notice that kind of 360 like roll of the camera at one point in the forest?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to go in the forest, but they wanted to go in the forest to save the kid who had been
dragged off into the forest.
And there was no sign that he had been killed, so they wanted to go and save him. Especially because the chief, or the person in charge, was actually the kid's dad. Yeah. And there was very much some conflict there as to whether or not he's dead, let's focus on surviving ourselves, instead of chasing after him and putting ourselves in danger.
They were very much in a very ragtag.
Yeah.
We are starving. We haven't been able to hunt anything. You know, we're in the middle of nowhere in this new land. Something is trying to pick us off.
We don't necessarily know the rules of this landscape.
But they did other things that they're like lighting a fire out on the moorland, and I don't know what they were using to burn because there were no trees.
Artistic license.
Artistic license. Probably very, very wet scrubland. So there you go.
But overall, I loved the feel of this movie.
Yeah, no, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it. It had a couple of little bits. Niggles, but
more personal niggles.
But it was probably a very, very tight budget movie to produce. So,
and for what it was, it was really good.
Yeah, so if you're scoring it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great, 1 being absolutely atrocious, I'm coming in at about 7.5 on that one.
Yeah, I'd go around that point. I say that possibly not worth going to the cinema to watch it, but if it comes out on physical media, which I hope it does,
well,
I'd get that.
Yeah, if you've got an unlimited card,
go
to the cinema. I'd say that because the sound was really
very
good.
atmospheric.
It was great in the cinema, you know. You could hear these things that are like behind you and to the sides and stuff like that.
Is the point where the speakers get to that point where it's so thunderous in the music that they start vibrating the walls?
I've got to say, it sounded at one point, it sounded like the wall was vibrating. If you've got a home cinema set up, then again you're probably going
to... Like that one, just there. Off screen.
Yeah, off screen. You're going to appreciate it. If you've got just a normal standard TV, then maybe... and if it's got... if you've got a sound bar, then... Maybe you'll capture some of that some of that deep bass stuff will work really well. But so it's your choice. Cinema, I think it's worth it if you want to really appreciate and the sound. But otherwise, you wait for physical media and you'll be good to go.
And we love our physical media.
Physical media.
We have more physical media showcases headed your way, so stay tuned for that.
I'm also going to say, to just finish off, that because I enjoyed it at 7.5. That when it comes out in physical media, then it is a movie I'll probably pick up. Yeah. Because I'd like to see it again. Well, there you go.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to this channel and comment below any suggestions of further reviews you'd like to see from the Zak and Buzz review.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you again.